Hello, guys. Welcome you all to the Insights into Money podcast. Let's start today's discussion, folks, on the topic, Atomic Habits for Your Wallet, Tiny Changes that Yield Massive Returns. What if I told you that, setting a really strict goal to save $10,000 this year is actually the exact reason you might be struggling to build wealth?
Right. It sounds totally counterintuitive.
Yeah, exactly. It really does. But today we're basically stripping away all that conventional advice about financial diets and strict budgeting.
Oh, absolutely. We need to throw out that whole idea of restrictive financial dieting.
Right. We're digging into the intersection of behavioral psychology and personal finance. The mission today is to figure out how really minuscule, almost invisible daily actions can they can compound over time.
Yeah.
And create a wealth-building engine that basically runs on autopilot.
And that framing, it's just critical right from the jump, because whether you have a super complex portfolio or, you're just looking at a basic budget for the very first time, the approach shouldn't be about deprivation.
Right, which is what everyone assumes, right? Like, I can't spend money anymore.
Exactly. Most people look at their finances through this lens of pure willpower. But today is about redesigning your financial environment. We want to structure your life so that doing the right thing with your money just becomes the default, like a thoughtless action.
So if we aren't relying on willpower, which, let's face it, usually fails.
Oh, almost always.
We have to look at what actually drives long-term change. And the mathematical reality here is this concept called the aggregation of marginal gains.
Yes. Such a powerful concept.
It's basically a very formal way of describing something really simple, which is getting just 1% better every day.
Right, just 1%.
Yeah. If you improve your financial habits by a mere 1% daily, the math says the cumulative effect results in a state that is almost 38 times superior over a single year.
Wait, 38 times?
Yeah, almost 38 times better.
Yeah.
Because you aren't just adding, you're compounding. Daily routines and habits, they're essentially the compound interest of self-improvement.
I love that phrase. And it's the exact same mathematical principle that governs capital markets. Just like financial capital multiplies when you reinvest the interest, the effects of your behaviors, like your daily routines, they multiply as you repeat them.
So it's not just money compounding, it's the habits themselves.
Exactly. Let's ground this in a specific example. Say you consistently save just $5 a day.
Okay, $5.
Yeah. If you take that $5 and invest it at a 7% annual return over 30 years, that daily $5 grows to over $182,000.
Okay, I have to stop you right there because I know exactly what the listener is thinking right now.
Uh-oh. What's that?
We hear this personal finance cliche constantly, right? Like, just cut out your daily premium coffee and you'll be a millionaire.
Oh, the latte factor?
Yeah. Yes. And honestly, it frustrates people. It really frustrates me too. It feels so reductive and, I don't know, slightly condescending to tell someone their financial struggles are entirely because of a latte.
And you should be frustrated by it because it completely misses the broader point. The coffee itself is entirely irrelevant.
Right. I get it.
The focus shouldn't be on depriving yourself of a beverage you genuinely enjoy. I mean, life is short. Drink the coffee.
Exactly.
The actual point is the staggering mathematical reality of what daily compounding does to literally any regular $5 decision.
So it could be anything.
Right. It
Yeah.
could be an unused digital subscription you just forgot to cancel, a daily convenience store snack, or maybe bank fees you aren't really paying attention to.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, the friction comes from the fact that our human brains are just terrible at comprehending compounding over time.
Right. Our brains just don't work that way. So why is it so hard to just make that $5 change, whether it's coffee or a subscription, and actually stick to it? Because if the math is that obvious, what's breaking down?
So in behavioral psychology, we call that breakdown point the plateau of latent potential.
The plateau of latent potential. Okay, what is that?
Basically, when you start saving that $5 or making that 1% improvement, the early stages of compounding look incredibly slow, like agonizingly sluggish.
Oh, right. Because 1% of nothing is nothing.
Exactly. You put in the effort for a month, you look at your account, and you have, maybe $150.
Yeah, which feels like a drop in the bucket.
Right.
Yeah.
Your brain expects linear progress, but compounding is exponential. So your brain is telling you, this isn't working. I'm making a daily sacrifice for basically nothing.
Wow. Yeah, I've definitely felt that.
We all do. This biological impatience is what causes people to abandon highly productive financial behaviors way before the massive inflection point hits.
Because the results are delayed.
Exactly. The brain perceives the effort as a failure even when it's totally working.
Which really highlights the core problem here. Like, we all have the intent to be financially secure, right? Nobody wants to be broke.
Of course not.
But the discrepancy between our financial intent and the actual outcome, it seems to be a failure of the underlying system we're using to get there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not a lack of willpower. It's literally that we are fighting our own biology.
Exactly. And it doesn't help that we live in a culture that's entirely obsessed with goals.
Right, the New Year's resolutions.
Yeah. We say, I want to save $10,000 or I want to be debt-free. But focusing purely on the goal creates this dangerous yo-yo effect.
A yo-yo effect. How so?
Think about what happens when someone finally hits a strict $10,000 savings target.
They usually celebrate, right?
Yeah, and because they focused their entire psychological effort on that specific outcome, the motivation suddenly just vanishes the moment the goal is achieved.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that.
They often stop all the productive behaviors that got them there in the first place. They splurge to reward themselves, and then they just revert right back to where they started.
So they hit the goal, but they didn't actually change anything about themselves.
Right, it's true. Sustainable behavioral change doesn't happen at the goal level. It happens at the identity level.
Okay, let me see if I can translate that.
Mm.
It's kind of like comparing financial goals to a sports team's desire to win a championship.
Okay, I like this.
Every single team in the league has the exact same goal, right? They all want the trophy.
Right.
But the team that actually wins isn't the one that simply wanted the goal more. It's the team with the best daily practice system.
That is the perfect way to look at it.
So for the listener right now, are you setting these ambitious financial goals, but operating with a completely broken daily system?
Right, because aiming to save $10,000 is fundamentally different from deciding to become the type of person who invests.
Yeah, that's a huge shift.
It's an identity shift. When you adopt that new identity, every small financial action you take, even something as simple as just reviewing your bank statement, acts as a conscious vote for your future security.
You're casting a vote for who you want to be.
Exactly. You are literally proving to yourself who you are.
But wait, what if someone listening right now actively feels like they're just bad with money?
That's very common.
Right.
Yeah.
What if their identity is literally, I am a spender, or I'm terrible at math? How do you reconcile trying to implement a saving system when you view yourself that way?
So that creates what psychologists call identity conflict. And honestly, it is the root of almost all financial self-sabotage.
Identity conflict.
Yeah. If you subconsciously view yourself as a spender, then a budget will always feel like a prison.
Oh, totally, like a punishment.
It feels like a restriction on who you fundamentally are. And because humans are deeply driven to act in accordance with their identity, you will inevitably sabotage yourself.
So you'll just blow the budget because that's what you do.
Right. Right. You'll make an impulse purchase you can't afford, not because you even need the item, but simply to alleviate the psychological tension of acting out of character.
Wow. That is wild.
So changing the underlying identity has to come first.
All right, so if the systems and our identity are the true drivers of wealth, how do we practically reprogram ourselves?
Well, we have a framework for that.
Right, because we can't just snap our fingers and suddenly believe we're like savvy investors. We have to look at the neurological framework of how a habit is formed.
Exactly.
And the loop basically has 4 stages, right? Cue, craving, response, and reward.
You got it.
And there are 4 laws of behavior change we can use to kind of hack this loop for our wallets. So let's start with law 1, make it obvious.
Okay.
This targets the cue. What does it actually mean to make a financial habit obvious?
Well, consider your current environment. It is likely engineered by incredibly smart marketers to cue spending at every turn.
Oh yeah, everything is an ad.
You open your phone, you see ads, you walk down the street, the windows are designed to draw you in. Everything is one-click buying.
So true.
To counter this, you have to proactively engineer your own environment to cue saving instead.
Okay, but how? I mean, I'm not going to tape my bank statements to my bathroom mirror.
No, you don't need to do that. But you can use a technique called habit stacking.
Habit stacking.
Yeah, you anchor a new financial behavior to an existing routine that you already do every single day without fail.
So you don't have to remember to do it.
Exactly. You don't try to carve out a brand new time slot for financial management. For example, if you make a cup of coffee every morning.
Which I definitely do.
Right. You stack the new habit right on top of it. You commit to logging into your banking app and just checking your balance while the coffee is brewing.
Oh, I see. So you use the existing automatic action as the trigger.
Precisely.
Like closing your laptop for lunch becomes the exact moment you transfer $5 to an emergency fund.
Yes, perfect example.
But let me challenge this moving to law two, which is make it attractive. This deals with the craving stage.
Right, the craving.
Getting a notification that a new pair of shoes is on sale. That is attractive.
Very attractive.
Looking at a spreadsheet of my monthly expenses is definitely not attractive. So how do we artificially create a craving for something that is inherently, boring?
That's a great question. You're hitting on a phenomenon called present bias.
Present bias.
Yes. We drastically undervalue long-term rewards because spending money right now is immediately attractive.
Yeah, instant gratification.
To overcome this, we use a strategy called temptation bundling.
Okay, temptation bundling. What is that?
You pair a should-do activity with a want-to-do activity.
Give me a real-world example of that. How do I temptation bundle my budget?
So you take a task you might really dread, like auditing your monthly credit card expenses.
Ugh, the worst.
Right, and you bundle it with something you genuinely love, like listening to a favorite podcast, or ordering takeout from your favorite restaurant, or maybe having a really nice glass of wine.
Oh, okay. I like where this is going.
But the rule is that you are only allowed to do the fun thing while you are doing the financial thing.
Oh. So I can only drink the wine if the spreadsheet is open.
Exactly. Over time, your brain begins to associate the dopamine of the podcast or the wine with the act of reviewing your finances.
That makes total sense. You're trying to shift the emotional weight of the task.
Yes.
It all seems like you have to sort of reframe the internal narrative, right? Like if you sit down with your spreadsheet and say, ugh, I have to do this so I don't go broke, it still feels pretty restrictive.
It does. It feels terrible.
But if you view that budget not as this tool that forbids you from spending, but as a system that actively enables your future freedom, it just changes the whole context.
Completely.
It's like giving yourself permission to spend on the things that actually matter to you.
Precisely. You change the emotional valence of the activity.
Right.
But here's the thing. Even if you make it obvious and attractive, you still have to actually execute the action.
True.
Which brings us to Law 3. Make it easy. This deals with the response stage.
Okay.
Human behavior, by evolutionary design, always follows the path of least resistance.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second here, though.
Sure, go for it.
A lot of the personal finance space preaches,
Yeah.
like hypervigilance. They say you need to be actively tracking every single penny, writing down every transaction manually so you feel the pain of it.
Yeah, I know. I hear that a lot.
But doesn't that directly contradict the idea of making it easy? I mean, isn't that just exhausting?
It is entirely exhausting. And for the vast majority of people, it is totally unsustainable.
Thank goodness you said that.
Yeah, willpower is a depletable resource. If
Yeah.
your financial plan requires heroic discipline every single day, you will eventually have a bad day, get tired, and fail.
Yeah, you just give up.
That is exactly why automation is the ultimate tool for financial success. It completely bypasses the need for daily willpower.
So by setting up automatic transfers to your investment or savings accounts the moment your paycheck hits,
Yes.
the money is gone before you even have the chance to desire spending it.
Exactly.
The path of least resistance is literally doing nothing. And doing nothing is what makes you wealthier.
Yes. Automation removes the decision-making process entirely.
It's like magic.
But of course, you can't automate everything right out of the gate. Setting up those accounts in the first place requires some effort.
Right, there's always some friction at the start.
So for those complex, daunting tasks like, figuring out how to open a Roth IRA, you apply the 2-minute rule.
The 2-minute rule, how does that work? You can't open and fund a retirement account in 2 minutes?
You don't try to.
Oh.
You break the daunting project down into a 2-minute gateway habit.
Okay, gateway habit.
Yeah. If starting a retirement fund feels overwhelming, your only goal for Tuesday is to simply download the brokerage app to your phone.
Just download it.
That's it. Stop there. Then on Wednesday, your only goal is to spend 2 minutes filling out the basic profile information.
Okay, I see.
You make the barrier to entry so incredibly low that it's psychologically impossible to procrastinate.
You're just tricking yourself into starting.
Exactly. Which brings us to the final piece of the behavioral loop. Law 4. Make it satisfying.
The reward.
Right. And this seems like the hardest one when it comes to money.
Oh, definitely. Because the ultimate reward of these financial habits is retiring comfortably, but that might be 30 or 40 years away.
Mm.
My brain wants satisfaction today.
And your brain is wired to want that. Evolutionarily, we prioritize immediate survival and immediate status.
We don't care about the year 2060.
No, not at all. Not multi-decade financial plans. So we have to artificially inject immediate satisfaction into the process of saving to reinforce the habit.
So how do we do that?
The brain needs a hit of dopamine right now to validate the behavior.
But how do you get a dopamine hit from not doing something? Like if I walk past a store, see a jacket I really want, and manage to resist buying it, I usually just feel deprived.
Right.
I just feel annoyed that I couldn't get the jacket.
Yeah.
Where's the dopamine in that?
That's why visual tracking and alternative rewards are so powerful.
Okay.
If you simply use a progress bar on your fridge that you color in every time you pay down a chunk of debt, the physical act of coloring provides a tangible, immediate sense of completion.
Like checking a box.
Exactly. It feels satisfying in the moment.
I've also seen people use immediate transfers to a dedicated, fun fund.
Yes, that's a great strategy.
Going back to the jacket example, if you successfully resist that impulse purchase, instead of just walking away feeling deprived, you immediately pull out your phone and transfer that $50 into a separate savings account. And maybe it's labeled guilt-free vacation or new computer. So you still get the instant dopamine hit of executing a transaction, and you feel the pleasure of moving the money, but you've actually saved it.
That is a brilliant psychological hack. It perfectly bridges the gap.
It really does.
You feel the pleasure of a transaction, but the transaction serves your new identity as an investor rather than a consumer.
All right. We spent a lot of time looking really closely at personal daily micro habits, like how an individual can redesign their morning coffee routine or their smartphone apps to build wealth. But I want to shift gears for a minute and zoom out. Can these exact same behavioral laws be scaled up?
Scaled up how?
Like, can we use our own inherent laziness to accumulate wealth on a macro institutional level?
Oh, we absolutely can. And it's fascinating.
Yeah.
When financial systems are designed from the top down to align with human nature rather than fighting against it, we see remarkable results.
I would imagine so.
A prime example of this in behavioral economics is the Save More Tomorrow program. It's often referred to as SMART.
SMART. I am really fascinated by this concept, but let's break down the mechanics first. How does the SMART program actually work for an employee?
Okay, so traditionally, if an employer wants you to save more for retirement, they ask you to increase your 401k contribution today.
Right, which means my paycheck goes down.
Exactly, which means your next paycheck will be smaller. And people hate that.
Oh, yeah. Nobody wants less money right now.
The SMART program changes the timing. It asks employees to commit in advance to allocate a portion of their future salary increases toward their retirement savings.
Wait, so I'm not giving up any money today?
Not a single cent today.
I'm just signing a piece of paper agreeing that if I get, say, a 3% raise next year, 2% of that raise gets automatically diverted into my retirement account before I ever see it.
Correct. And the psychological architecture of this is vital to understand.
Yeah, Tony.
By timing the savings increases to coincide exclusively with pay raises, the employee's take-home pay never decreases.
Wow.
They never feel a reduction in their current lifestyle.
I always try to explain this like a time machine.
A time machine.
Yeah. You are effectively outsourcing the hard discipline to your future self.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because let's be honest, our future selves are always these idealized versions of us. Present me wants to order takeout and buy a new TV.
Right.
But future me is disciplined, eats kale, goes for a run, and has a flawless stock portfolio.
Exactly. Future you is perfect.
So by committing today for an action that happens tomorrow, you bypass all the weaknesses of your present self.
That is a great way to put it.
But why not just force people to save the money now? Like, why play this game with future raises?
Because of a cognitive bias known as loss aversion.
Loss aversion.
Yes. Humans are wired to feel the pain of losing something far more intensely than we feel the pleasure of gaining that exact same thing.
Really?
Yeah. Losing $100 causes significantly more psychological distress than finding $100 causes joy.
That is so true. Losing money hurts.
It hurts a lot. So when you ask people to save more from their current paycheck, their brain literally registers it as a painful loss of income.
Oh, I see.
The SMART program completely neutralizes loss aversion. Because the take-home pay never drops, the brain never registers a loss.
And also leverages the make it easy law we talked about earlier, right? The whole automation aspect.
Yes. It uses our natural procrastination and inertia as the very engines that drive wealth accumulation.
How so?
Well, once an employee opts into the program, they have to actively log into a portal or do paperwork to stop the future savings increases.
And nobody wants to do paperwork.
Exactly. Because humans are naturally lazy and avoid administrative chores, most people never bother to opt out.
That's hilarious.
Inertia, which is usually the thing that destroys our finances, becomes the exact mechanism that makes them rich.
That is just, it really flips the script on everything we assume about money.
It really does.
We think we need to fundamentally change human nature to be financially successful. We think we have to, eliminate our laziness, conquer our fear of loss, and just destroy our desire for instant gratification.
No, you don't.
Right. What we've uncovered today is that you don't need to change human nature at all. You just need to design a system that expects human nature to be exactly what it is and then puts it to work.
Beautifully said. The systems we build dictate the lives we lead. If you take anything away from this deep dive, it should be an audit of your environment.
Just look around, basically.
Exactly. In fact, I want to leave you with a final thought experiment to mull over today.
Okay, let's hear it.
Take out your smartphone right now and look at the home screen. If that digital environment was a physical landscape, where would it naturally lead you?
Oh, wow.
Is your phone currently architected to key you toward a digital shopping mall or a bank vault?
That's a sobering question.
Are retail apps and food delivery services the first things you see, or is it an investment tracker? Be the architect of your choices. Redesign your environment, and you will redesign your financial future.
This was it on today's topic, guys. Kindly subscribe and follow us for more such insights on various discussions on money. And also, do not forget to join our social media community to stay in touch and get updated.